So what's up, guys? Tonight we're going to be talking about fuses. We're going to be talking about alternators. We're going to be talking about batteries and all sorts of electrical stuff for car audio. If you have any questions about that kind of stuff, tonight we're going to be discussing it. And any questions that you might have about your system that you have now, problems you're having, things you might want to buy, you don't know what to get, or something you're putting together in the future. Be sure and put those in the comments over there. We will answer them as I get to them. And if you're watching this video later after it is no longer live, add your questions down in the comments below and I will get to them. So for now, guys, let's listen to some music.
Yeah. Drop it to the ground. If you wanna drop it to the ground. Get low. You gotta get low. Get low. You gotta get low. Get low. You gotta get low. Get low.
Guess what? Taco loves tacos, yeah, that's his scene. Crunching all day like a taco machine. Hard shell, soft shell, spicy, supreme. Always eating tacos, favorite cuisine. Taco! 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 Crunchy! Crunchy! With taco machine! Touch!
What's up, guys? That's my new taco video. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Oh, in case you're wondering, this is my wake up hat. So if I go start dozing off, I just clip these guys on my ears and I hit this button over here to the side and boom, I'm wide awake, man. So, some people have coffee, I have jumper cables. Oh man. Oh, cool. Awesome. Glad to hear that, brother. So Z1 Berserker's in the house and Shadow Phage is in the house. And I'm assuming that the others will show at some point in time. It's Sunday. Sundays are kind of weird. We don't never know exactly what's going on with Sundays. Yeah, my wake up hat, man. Yeah, that's exactly right. I'm jump starting my brain, brother. That's how that works. So tonight we had a well. First of all, let me tell you about what happened today. So today, my buddy Troy had put in his alternator, his new alternator, and something went awry with it. He wasn't sure what happened, and oh, they'll show up, man. They always show up. Anyway, something went awry. He wasn't sure what happened to the alternator, but he went from charging it like 14.4 to 17 volts. Now, he didn't know this. He didn't know his voltage has changed because he doesn't have a voltmeter that's constantly hooked up. He has one, we ain't put it in yet. So he didn't know what was going on. He was driving along, cruising down the road, and all of a sudden his music cut off. Amps all went into protect. He has a Slapz Shock 8K and a Slapz Mini 4 160.4, just like this one back here behind there. He has one of those, and he has a Shock 8K. So his amp shut off. He's like, "What the hell happened?" And he pulled over. He got his voltmeter out. Realized after a while that when he got his volt thing plugged into his OBD port where he could read the voltage, that his voltage was setting at 17 volts. So the others, you'll see them. They'll show up. You'll know who they are. Uh, anyway, his voltage was sitting at 17 volts, and so he starts unplugging crap because he's freaking out, thinking it's going to blow everything up. He said the lights on the Shock 8K were going all kinds of colors and doing stuff. He starts unhooking batteries and unhooking everything. Well, he got a hold of Tyler at GP Car Audio and told him about what was going on, and then he got a hold of me. And when he got a hold of me, I was like, "Dude, okay, all right. So your voltage shot up to 17 volts." I'm like, "That sounds like unregulated voltage. That sounds like what an alternator does when it has no regulator." I said, "So either one of two things has happened. Either you have a bad regulator and it's an internally regulated alternator, or the alternator is not sensing the voltage. Like the wire's not hooked up right or something." So I said, "Bring it over here. We'll have a look at it." And I studying where he had everything hooked up at, and he had the alternator hooked up on an always on wire. The one that's supposed to be on the ignition, it was actually on a circuit that was on all the time, which is the horn circuit. And I asked him, I said, "Man," I said, "if you go mash the horn right now with the key turned off, will it honk?" He's like, "Yeah." I said, "So what does that tell you?" Anyway, uh, his buddy actually did the hookup on it, and they just kind of went through it, and they wasn't really sure what was going on. The sensing wire he had hooked up on an always on wire, but they also ran through the circuit box, and I think they had crimped. The circuit box had creased and broke the actual wire inside the sheathing because of how it crimped it whenever they closed the circuit box. It just about cut it in two. So I think the sensing wire was cut off. The energizing wire was still energizing because that son of a bitch was definitely charging at 17 volts. We got that put back together anyway, and hooked everything back up. He was worried to death that he had blown up his amplifiers. And I was like, "Well, Shocks is taking pretty good beating from my stuff." So, but we got the alternator sorted out, got the wires hooked up appropriately, got the wires routed in such a way that they won't break. And I also told him what to do if he has a problem again, because it kind of was weird. It popped up all of a sudden. And I think what happened was the wire just gave out at that time. And so it lost connection to the sensing wire, lost connection. And that's whenever it started going 14.4 or going 17 volts. And then But it actually went back down to 14.4. He said after he started hooking and stuff. And I'm thinking he probably bumped that box lid, that fuse cover lid, and that wire, just enough of it made contact again that it started working again. That's my best guess. Well, anyway, went back there and hooked all the stuff back up, and both amps come right back on, no problem. The B2 audio DSP never went off. It stayed on through the whole process. It was getting 17 volts and didn't give a crap. It was just chooching right along. But all three of them recovered and nothing broke. So it was a great test for the equipment, and I'm proud of both of those amplifiers doing exactly what they're supposed to do. And this system still sounds nasty. He's now got a 400 amp alternator on there, and he's about to put a big old battery in there. So we got lots of things going on with that. Now, we're going to talk about some stuff. So let me switch over to the other camera here. Hang tight for just 1 second, and we'll get her done. Get her done. Yes, sir. All right, let's make sure my audio is still good. Yes, my audio is still good. These fuses. Now, I was studying on these fuses, and I want to show you guys what they look like. They're very interesting. So let me go back a page here. I think I have the other ones. Yes. So here's what the thing looks like in its natural habitat, right? So you got this bolt that goes through here, and it compresses the washer area right around the edge of the bolt. That one flat piece that looks like a washer is actually the connecting point. Then the washer and the bolt screw down and make contact with that. Then underneath, let me find this other picture. You see down there that bottom plate that connects to your battery terminal or whatever. That bottom of that fuse is made the same way the top is. So it connects to that bottom piece, and in the bottom of that fuse, oh shit, here we go. Sits on that, and then that bolt is actually isolated from that whole section down there, and it compresses that fuse on. Now, what's cool is the way that works. You see that battery there? So here's the thing about fusing a wire. You know, you the length of wire that goes between the battery and the fuse is not protected. It's always potentially in danger. And because if something shorts that out between the battery and the fuse, it's just going to keep shorting it out and going to do bad stuff. That's why everyone tells you to keep that fuse as close to the battery as you can. Well, this little guy right here kind of takes that to a new level. I mean, it's fused right at the battery. There's no length of wire involved. So this gives you the ability to have a fuse in your cable without having that fuse block floating around. Now, I know other people, you run into scenarios, especially with these small modern cars, where there's nowhere to put a fuse in there. You know, you barely got room to run a cable, right? So having the ability to put the fuse on the battery and just run one cable, that's pretty freaking sick. So I'm digging these. Now, I also, like I said, I was looking at the fuses themselves. The fuses themselves are not that expensive either. And where did I have them? I had them on here. Maybe it was, no, see, I done screwed it up. I done lost it. Anyway, the little square fuses are like, I think it was like $12 for like 3 of them. And they come up to, I found them that were 400 amps. So that's a lot of power. This is a very interesting little fuse. And the fuse block itself is 1455. I don't know if it actually comes with a fuse. Probably does in this case. Yeah, I know it does because it's actually got the rating on the fuse. So it comes with a fuse for 14 bucks. Now, like I said, you can get 400 amps. There's your 300 amps at top, but you can get a 400 amp fuse for it. And the fuses are three for like 10 or 12 bucks, something like that. So they're, like $3 a piece or something. And that's incredibly good as far as price goes. And of course, my current favorite right now, the mega fuses. Now, this is not a mega fuse. That looks like it, though. That's an A&L fuse holder. They have a mega fuse, too. This one, that's A&L. It looks like this, but it's a mega fuse. Anyway, I like those guys. That's actually pretty cool, though. If we're looking for an A&L fuse holder, let's look at that. So there's one here for, okay, it's got a 12-inch long cable. I guess that's to go from the battery to the fuse. Well, I don't know what kind of fuse that is. It's a 4-gauge cable. No, we ain't going to count that. Ain't nobody running that. All right, so here's the fuse holder itself. This is an A&L fuse. And I'm digging it, except for the fact that these cover those, so that's not a problem. So you got your little boots on there to cover up the lugs, and a little shield to kind of protect the middle of that. That's actually pretty sick. Um, is that yeah? That's that. That's the fiber impregnated plastic too. That's the really good plastic, the fiber impregnated plastic. I like this. This is actually nice. If you're wanting to run an A&L fuse, this is like a really solid option right here. Very solid option. And that'll go in a very tight space. I mean, that can't be very big. I mean, that's an A&L fuse in there. That's only slightly bigger than the fuse, maybe an inch bigger. So you're looking at, I don't know, 5 inches long and just a little bit wider than an A&L fuse. So like an inch and a quarter wide. That's pretty tight spot in there. Um, so yeah, that's actually a pretty cool fuse. I was looking at the different ones. These are mega. This is one of the mega fuse holders. And I'm switching over all my stuff to mega as I go. But these definitely have my attention. And this is my, so far, right now, to date, favorite fuse holder for an A&L fuse. It's a very nice fuse holder. I love these things. So if you're looking for a solid, big old chunky, tough A&L fuse holder, these are $23 a piece. And they do come with a fuse. You can order. They're rated up to 600 amps. So you can get what you're looking for in there. I'm impressed with these. I love these. I've been running a few of these in my Tahoe for a very long time. And that's a nice fuse holder. But I'm really not a huge fan of A&L fuses. I've gotten kind of interested in the mega fuse market. Like these guys right here, these are mega fuses. So they look a little bit like A&L, but they're about a quarter inch shorter overall. I think they have a better build construction that the way they're made. The only downside is you have to take the nut and bolt completely off to remove them. Where the A&L fuse has a fork on each end so they can be pulled off by loosening the nuts. That's a little bit of a convenience thing, but I do like the way these are made. They're getting my attention. I'm going to be switching over some of my stuff to those fuse holders. They look good in there, don't they? Pretty cool. Let's see. We have any questions going in here? Oh, hang on a second. Let me jump back over here for a minute. See what's going on in the chat window. There are definitely things happening. All right. Shadow Page said, took my advice and made your songs better. Very good. And yeah, in case you guys are just joining the chat and you're wondering why I have jumper cables on my head, it's so that I can stay awake. We're going to, every once in a while, I'll hit this button over here and things are going to light up, and yeah, that's my wake up, Pat. Let's see here. I see Dubby's in the house. What's up, man? Upside down guys here. He's right side up, man. You're upside down. I mean, think about it. If it was upside down, the kangaroos would hop and they would just fall into space. So, they since they always come back down, he's obviously right side up. We're the ones that are upside down. That's why we don't have kangaroos over here, is because they all lifted off, and they're floating around up there riding in the Tesla convertible in space. Let's see here. El Fuego's in the house. What's up, El Fuego? Nice to see you tonight, man. Um, let's see here. Missed the opportunity to go extra country with the fuse holder washer. The washer. Got that damn washer on there. I like, back in the day, man, my people would like to put R in everything. R was somewhere in the middle of everything. All right, what's going on? Let's see here. W 22 caliber bullet. 20. Yeah. Y'all won't know a secret about a 22 caliber bullet. It's actually useful for a lot of stuff. Because growing up, I had empty shell casings all over the place all the damn time, and full ones as well. But you can take a 22 caliber bullet, and you can pop it in a glass fuse holder, and it fits perfectly. It most likely will not shoot because it takes a lot of heat to make a bullet. But you can do it with a lighter. I know because I did that once with the lighter. I set off a 22 round in my bedroom with a lighter. Yeah, I was an idiot. Okay. Um, I don't remember exactly what the hell I was thinking, but yeah, I did it. But here's one that you probably didn't know about. If you got an older vehicle and you got, uh, you got a front on your brake on your calipers and your master cylinder, you got that reservoir right there with your brake fluid in it. You got a line coming off the front one and a line coming off the back one. If your if the line come if your back breaks, your pads completely give up and you start squirting fluid everywhere out the back, brakes, and nobody ever changed the back brakes. They were drum brakes, and nobody ever changed them. They just didn't need to. You just changed the front ones so the back ones are the ones that would always sneak up on you, and the damn thing would collapse so far that it would literally start squirting fluid out in there. Well, in a pinch, you could take a 22 shell and slide it in that line. You take the line off, you could slide a 22 shell right in that line and put it back on, and it would make a absolutely perfect seal to stop fluid from going to the back of the back brakes. And then you'd get all your brakes back, and you just put some more fluid in there, and you can go on down the road. I've done it multiple times in my life. It fits perfectly. The crazy thing is, remember that a 22 shell is a rimfire cartridge. So tapping it on the edge makes it go off. When you put it in there, you're clamping the force. The force you're putting on it to tighten it down is literally compressing the edge of that cartridge. So it's your own risk. You know what I'm saying? I highly advise that you don't use a live round. You use a shell casing to do that, but it can be done. And yeah, if you tighten up a live round, you might just shoot a bullet right out of that thing, and it ain't going to follow that curve. It's just going to come flying right on out of there. That could be very complicated. Bobby said, Fuego said, Bobby B, aka Mr. Clean Wiry. Hell yeah, bro. You guys are great. Oh yeah, he sent me one too. I asked my wife, I said, is that the same one from last year? I said, no, it's different. Oh yeah, it is. I got a collection. I got a Bobby B Christmas card collection going on my hallway wall in there. Uh, Thanks for that, Bobby. You're awesome. Yeah, that like I think that's the only Christmas card we got in the house. So that tells you some stuff. It's Bobby B's fault, huh? Um, let's see what else Fuego said. Mrs. and Mrs. and Claus picked up some old school car audio gems for me today. Ooh, what? Do tell. I want to hear about this. That sounds fun. Frank is in the chat. What's up, Frank? Michael Janis. What do you think of using circuit breakers instead of fuses? I've done it. I have one that I use now, but not exactly for the intention purpose. I use it to disconnect my alternator, to disconnect my front, my extra, my shit. I can't even talk. So in my system, in my Tahoe, I've got two electrical systems: one alternator and battery that run the vehicle, and one alternator and other two batteries that run the audio system. I can connect them together by closing a breaker. When I open it, it disconnects those circuits. I've been using it like that for a while. I have no problems with it. Now, when I was on a different build, though, I used two of those breakers. They were 250 amp breakers. To or no, I think I only had one because I had one alternator. I would use one 250 amp breaker on a stock alternator to run as my fuse between the alternator and the battery in the back. And it was I actually had that set up to fuse between the alternator and the battery in the front to fuse that wire that was going to the back to that second battery. That was in my Ford Edge. Anyway, I found that it tripped a lot. And, I was obviously sending more current down that wire in pulses than I probably should have been, but it tripped a lot. So I started messing around with different things, and I discovered that once I figured out how much amperage I was pulling, I discovered that if you get one of those breakers, buy it for about 50 amps more than you think you should for a fuse because they tend to trip a little earlier than they should. But in all defense, in all fairness, I was sending way more power down that first one than I should have been. So it was doing exactly what it was intended to do. I've also heard people say that they get weaker over time. If they trip a bunch of times, they get to where they trip real easy. But, I'm just passing on. You ask a question and I'm giving you my answer. I still recommend them, though. They work good. I don't know what the voltage drop is over them, though. I need to register that. I need to measure that and find out if the voltage drop was good. I would imagine a fuse would have less voltage drop, which is probably why most people use fuses. Because it's a solid piece of metal where a breaker is actually a complicated little mechanism in there. Bimetal thermal set switch and springs and other nonsense. Fuego says his cord was never the same when the fuse didn't blow during a dead short. Yeah, that would do it. Ain't that the one that gave you your name? If I recall. Circuit breakers for boats and homes. Yeah, fair. Depending on what you're doing, man, as long as the circuit is protected and you're not going to send, hundreds of amps to the ground and have your battery explode or wires melt and fires and stuff. Circuit breakers and fuses, either one, work pretty good. Reset 300. What is this? Berserker says circuit breaker reset 300 to 30 amp. Okay. I tried editing myself. It went badly. Sorry. Yeah, that's the thing. Does the balancing and filtering automatically. I guess I better stick with this. But at least I took your advice. Hell yeah, man. Dude, let me tell you, When it comes to Audacity, you're gonna suck a lot before you get better. So don't let that discourage you, man. Um, don't be the iPhone guy. I mean, yeah, there's tons of apps out there that can do all that stuff. They still don't do it great. I mean, I'm sure they do it better than you do right now, but you don't learn anything by using the auto stuff. If you work on it yourself, you'll learn and you'll get better. So don't let that discourage you. Keep running your head into the wall till you get it sorted out. Uh, how can I step up my game to keep up with Bobby B's wiring? I don't know. I got to see what your wiring looks like first. Send me some pictures of your work so I can pick it apart, and I'll tell you what to do to get as good as the Bobby to the B. First, you're going to need to get yourself a ruler so that you can get your zip ties the right distance apart because you don't want to have that all messed up. I did some pretty wicked wiring back in my day. I'm capable of doing some really cool stuff. I just don't have the patience to do it much. Let's see here. Have a stew move in with you. Yeah, that'll do it. Uh, oh yeah, that's the go-to spot, man, for all the people in the know. And the other go-to spot, if it doesn't have that option, is the slipping it right beside the steering column. You just got to make sure that you don't actually get close to the shaft. You don't want the wire to get wrapped up, and that would go badly. But yeah, if you get over there to the edge of the steering column and go through that boot where the steering column is, that's another spot. But anymore, I don't run wires through there. I run them underneath the vehicle. I gave up on running wires through the interior. All it does is just tear up the interior. It's a huge pain in the butt to get everything where it goes and get it to where it's not causing some sort of disruption to the trim pieces and the carpet. I just run the shit under the vehicle and call it good. I've given up on internal wire running. Uh, but yeah, I've done the clutch delete many times. Let me go show you guys something else I was checking out. We're going to jump back over here real quick. So this guy. So a buddy of mine's ordering this guy for his car, and I got to researching it a little bit. And it's a clean looking battery, first of all. Let's talk about this. I don't know what the connections are like, but I have to suspect they're the worm screw connections where you stick your wire in there and tighten the screw up. I'm not a fan of those. Having said that, though, the battery looks pretty beefy. And over at GP right now, they're $1,099. But and the specs are not bad on these guys. I've looked into them too. They're not bad. This is about the equivalent of the Truck Thunder Lithium 10K. And it's pretty close to the same price. I like the 10K's bus bars and connections better and the case better. Although this case looks really good. I don't know how much ruggedness it has. It does have a really cool acrylic top and all that stuff, which looks cool. So, I mean, yeah, it's a good buy. I consider it a reasonable buy. Um, right now, poor Brandon's having a hell of a time trying to keep stuff in stock to build the Truck Thunder Lithium banks. He's trying very hard. Um, if we go over to the site here, when it pulls it up, this was a little banger, and it's virtually the same price. But this little guy has got the construction. I like the construction better. I think it's more suited. You got your standard issue lug connectors here, and I like those better. I like these solid copper bars he's using in these things. And it's just a really pretty and well done battery. And the casing on it is absolutely insane. That is some thick material, all screwed and glued together. Very, very rugged. So I'm impressed with them. Now, there is one more thing I was going to, there's one more thing that I was going to show you guys too over here. That's this thing. This being something that you may not know about, some of you anyway. Now, this is a CMAX energy battery module. CMAX meaning that it came out of a Ford CMAX, the cells anyway. And although it's not pouches, if you're looking at the thing, it looks to me like it's got a compression rack on it. So I'm guessing that you still have to compress these cells. But this is 120 amp hours of power for $299. If you're okay with having these things in your car, and the C rating is at least like 10, I'm sure it's higher than that, then I would say this is a rock solid choice if you're okay with having CMAX in your car. It is a 14.4 battery, so you can charge it at 14.8, no problem. But I think they actually can go up to like 18 volts or 16 volts. So yeah, you can charge safely between 12 and 16 volts. They don't have to be charged at 14.4. So it's kind of a go-to for the average people, except for the fact that it's CMAX. That always makes me really nervous. Um, and let's see, they talk about using new cells and stuff, but you got to remember CMAX is mainly comes out of vehicles. It's they pull a bank out of a vehicle and to get rid of the bad cells and then sell the cells that are good. That's where they come from. Now these, they said there was a overstock of something that was happened. I don't know, but some kind of overstock. But I'm thinking to myself, of course they would say that. Now, this is Jag, and Jag's been pretty consistently good about stuff. But if you do decide you want one of these things, really important, get the one with the with this balancer on it, the Heltec balancer. It's a far better balancer. It's going to make sure your cells don't drift and get out of sync with each other. And it's a nice little balancer. Now, here's the thing that perplexes me about this. I've been studying the crap out of this. So let's look at some stuff. Let's pay attention to what's written here. First of all, your Heltec balancer, you got 4 leads. Okay? That's, let's see, actually, I think you have 3 leads. So now it makes sense. No, there's 4. So it's got batteries 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you got 4 leads, right? And then down here, it specifically says it's a 4S 5P. So 4S, 4 leads, that makes sense, right? Okay. But then over here, it says 21 cells. Now, how the hell do you divide? I mean, if you look right here, it's got 5 times 4. That's 20. Okay. That's 20. 5 times 4 is 20, not 21. And you got 4 leads. That's 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 times 5. That's 20. But it says 21. And if you count the cells, and we've done this, if you count the cells, trust me, you get 20. So I don't understand the 21. I'm blown away by that. So I asked ChatGPT about that. and And I had to argue. He's like, "Oh yeah, you just look at this one, that one," and I was like, "But there's 21." He's like, "Oh yeah, you can't do that. You're right." It was funny, but yeah, we've had some interesting stuff we've been studying and learning about. Um, let's see here. What else we have going on in the chat over here? Yep, yeah, I'm catching up with where I am. Didn't realize. All right, so T. Corley said, didn't realize you were on. Just got home and seen it popped up on my phone. I love it when I pop up on someone's phone. I know y'all are commenting about what I'm talking about, and I'll see it here in a few minutes. Uh, Hard to find alien though, Frankie. All right, all right. You have no idea of your timing. I've been trying to figure out how to fuse the alt junction box to the battery on an Escalade. Factory uses fusible links. It must be a Ford. Oh wait, no, it's an Escalade. Never mind. Ford used to love using those fusible links back in the 70s. So, all right, you have been trying to fuse an alt junction box, okay, to the battery. Well, I've given you some options. It all depends on your spacing and what you prefer, but I really like the mega fuses, and I'm kind of getting drawn into those weird little stubby square fuses. Under the right circumstances, I think they might actually be pretty cool for specific things. Like if you got a battery in a tight spot, right, and you want to fuse that and got nowhere to put a fuse block with a fuse in it, that little stubby fuse might be the magic sauce, and they're not expensive. What's my hat clamping? Man, uh, where's my voltmeter at? Here it is. Here we go. I had it out earlier. Oh man, let's see this. Let's bust out the voltmeter. Test this here. Uh, it says stupid. That's what it says. It says stupid. So I don't know what that's supposed to mean. I suppose it. I don't know. It's probably talking about the hat. I'm sure it's talking about the hat. Oh man. Let's see what's up. Uh Sup party people, got myself a much needed JS 400 amp alternator for Christmas. 10% off deal going on. 10% off of what? Is it a going out of business sale? I always love the going out of business sale that just keeps going and going and going and going and going. I like JS alternators, man. They're good stuff. JS and Beckman, GP. GP's team alternators are really good. I've been running one on my Tahoe now for like, 4 years, and it's been flawless. So, yeah, I ain't complaining. Joe Daddy back. Is Joe? Yeah, what's up, Joe Daddy? He hung out with us for a long time last night, man. Yeah, I sucked, but my music sounded better. And thanks. I'll practice on the other. Practice. Start out by using one tool, get really good at it, and then start adding tools as you go. You'll eventually learn your way around it like it's your freaking kitchen. Just be able to run to one cabinet and grab what you need. It'll all become natural, but it doesn't start out that way. It starts out like, oh my God, there's just way too many things to do. So, um, I hope both you and Dubby are having a great weekend. I'm having an awesome weekend. I have today. I rescued an alternator and everything, and we had fun hanging out and chatting in here. He just left a couple hours ago. Me and Troy hung out in here for hours talking. We got some plans for his car, and we were discussing all that stuff and talking about all kind of car audio stuff. Awesome, man. You said you got your sub sounding good. That's great. Thanks to Dubby and the boss himself. Thank you, man. Shit's pounding. Had to turn had to turn NGL things. Had to turn it down. Things started falling off the shelf. Oh, that's when you know you're doing it. Mama wasn't home. Yeah, yeah. Mama was home. Your ass have been handed to you. Let me see here. How many SQ? How many square inches in port area do I have in my Slapz 15 box? Off the top of my head, I think it was. I don't remember. I don't want to lie, so I want to pull up my notes here. It might take me a second, but I'll find it. I have my sketch pad. I do all types of stuff in here, and it's saved my bacon many times. So that was my original plan. Let's see what I ended up doing. I got all the dimensions of everything in here from my original plan to the final one. And I've got it saved digitally too. Did I do that size? It looks like I did. I think I did. Let me see. Hang on. This the right one? Yeah. I think I did 250 inches of area. But that don't sound right. Let me look through here. Okay, so my port is 4.5 inches long, or 4.5 inches wide by 20 inches deep. It's actually about 22 inches deep, I think. No, it's 24 inches deep. 22 or 24, I can't remember now off the top of my head. And it's like 20 inches tall. 4.5. I want to say 250. Yeah, I got lots of drawings. I found it's cheaper to build it on paper first, and then you don't run into as many problems. Oh man, that's my wiring diagram, dude. All this stuff. This tablet goes back like multiple builds. I even got my. So that's whenever I did my extensions on my port, how I was going to build them in there. I got that drawn out, and there's all kind of stuff in here. One of these days, somebody's going to look at this shit and go, "What the hell is this?" I wanted to give you exact numbers, but I may have to pull up the file because there's so much stuff that I went through here and just marked all over and scribbled and scratched. So I think it was 250. At least that's what I wrote down. It don't sound right though. I want to say it was 20 inches tall by 4.5 inches wide. What's 4.5 times 20? 90. Okay. Yeah, 90. That's it. That sounds better. So yeah, around 90. I knew that didn't sound right. I had that wrote down. I must have been thinking about, oh, that was when I was doing those were for the sixth order we were working on. That's what it was. Okay. Answered. Battery is definitely nice looking. Yeah, I'm not sure which one you're talking about, but the C-Max one. Yeah, I mean for the price, I mean damn guys, you know, I'm gonna tell you straight up, as much as I don't care for C-Max, if I was getting into this and I didn't have trunked under lithium, I this is probably what I'd go with. I'd probably jump on that. And I mean, just being honest, I this thing is pretty cool. And for the price, I would just have to jump on it. Um, I would. Now, I would say that the rating on it. So if we're going to talk about this a little bit, it has 120 amp hour capacity. It does not say what the rating on those cells is. Um, it does come with if you get the one with the Heltec balancer. So you got to check that right here. All right. So right here, you get the M8 terminals. There's two different types of terminals, and I'm trying to see. I don't know. It raises the price a little bit, but I don't know what exactly has changed. But this is if you go down here instead of just doing that one, click this one. You want this one right here, the M8 terminals and Heltec balancer. You want that one because that balancer, that's a medical grade balancer, which means it's very reliable and it gives you good information. So it gives you the voltage on each of the banks, which is great. And I will say this though, if you're going to run that, if you're going to get into that, uh, be leery of letting it charge when it's cold. So if it gets real cold, when I say real cold, I mean down around freezing or colder. Like real cold. Um, and the battery happens to die or get real low, don't charge it with your alternator. Get you a nice trickle charger and hook up to it and let it slowly come back up. Now, once it starts to warm up from being used and power pulled out of it, you'll be able to charge it then, but be real careful about that. But the deal is really juicy. So I can't diss it, man. It's a good freaking deal. Um, you know. Let's see here. Uh, but does it put out actual power? It's a good question. I think so. I think it. I I don't really know, but 120 amp hours. So you got to look at your C rating. If the C rating is 10, that's 1,000 amps. You know, um, and CMAX is kind of notorious for being able. It's designed to run an electric motor in a car, which is quite a bit of amperage. So if I had to guess, even with a C rating of 10, it's still putting out over 1,000 amps. And but you got to be able to put that power back in too. So don't forget you need that strong electrical system. I still think it's a solid deal as long as you be mindful of the fact that it shouldn't be charged quickly like an alternator charge whenever it's really cold. I'd be very leery of that. Um, Charge it lightly whenever it's cold. On the XMAX battery, the XMAX battery won't have it's a 90 amp hour. It's going to be similar to this, maybe pretty close in power output, but at three times the price. So there's that. Um, but it has a balancer, but it does not have a control module. So it's going to have whatever output the battery can give you. I'm pretty sure. Let's see here. Let me dig in here a little bit. There we go. So yeah, it says it's rated for 20,000 watts in burst. Maximum voltage charging is 14.8, 90 amp hours. Um, that 20,000 watts would mean 2,000 amps. So it would have to have a C rating of 20. If that's the case, that's a pretty wicked freaking battery. But it is $1,100. So, but yeah, it says it supports 16K to 20K RMS, but then it also says 20 watt to 20K in burst, um, which is 2,000 amps in burst. So that's a strong ass battery, provided it does what it does what it says. And that would mean it would have to be like a 20C or something like that, 22C, which is really, really fast. Really big discharge numbers. I'd call it a good. I'd call it a good battery. The deal, I don't know. It's debatable, but we don't know. Joe Daddy said, "What do I think about DS18 6.5 mids and tweeters? If I'm going to recommend something in that general range, I would probably push you towards uh, well, my brain turned off. I got old man brain again. That's what happens. Orion. If you're looking for something in that class, I would recommend going with Orion. But DS18 makes decent stuff. Depends on what you're specifically looking for. I do like their big nasty subwoofer. Oh shit, I can't think of the name of it. The Hooligan, the Hooligan sub. I like the Hooligan subs, and their 5 and 10K amps are badass, uh, or 3 and 5K rather. The Street Series stuff from DS18 is hot garbage. Mids and highs, eh, I'd say they're mediocre. Nothing to write home about, but they'll get the job done. Nah, that's more about installation and power and tuning, brother. The brand does not automatically make really loud stuff. It's about installation, tuning, and power. Uh, yep, I agree, bro. I like the battery better. I just wish you could keep them in stock. People are buying the thing so fast he can't. He's got a shipment bought that hasn't even left yet. He's got 2 shipments on the way. He is trying like hell, but it's a big part of it is he has to buy fairly small batches because it's been a small business, and then the tariffs are kicking his ass because they'll hold shit in port sometimes for a week or two or longer until they decide on what the tariff is going to be. So yeah, it's kind of a pain in the butt. Uh, W's, DS18, yes. You guys can W now. I have 100. I have an 100 amp LiPo 4 lithium power queen. Let me put y'all on screen. I hadn't had you up there. Uh, Battery, but the BMS can handle. Yeah, that's the problem with a BMS. They're always limited to like 80 to 120 amps or something like that. They're great for what they do. They're not good for car audio though. They really suck for car audio. They're good for literally everything else. Uh, you want cheap DS18 is on it? Yeah. Like I said, if I was going to point you toward a speaker like that's loud, I would point you towards some Orion 6.5 Pro Audio mids. They will bark and they sound good too. They sound way better than they have a right to, and they get down. Uh, Let me see what else is going on here. But. Joe Daddy starting shit. El Fuego. Yeah, I understand that, bro. I do understand that. 100%. But I'd rather run them than Headway. Um, I got a set of Kicker KS speakers to go. Speakers to go in. Those get pricey. Yeah, KS series is nice. Joe Daddy said, I'm trying to buy expensive products. Man, you ain't even got a job. Are you mowing yards yet? I used to mow yards when I was a kid. And y'all, if y'all don't know nothing about growing up in the country, if you've ever been around a rice field, you have these levees in the rice field. I used to have to go out there and cut holes in the levee with a shovel and then put these little gates in there to let the water. So I put in rice levee gates after school. I got paid, was it 50 cents a gate? It wasn't much, man. I'd go out there and put in 40 or 50 gates in an evening and got till it got dark and then go home. I busted my butt when I was a kid. Um, Focals. There you go, W. You get him. Said go get yourself some focals. Hell yeah, man. Uh, DD Audio. Okay, bet. Y'all, Joe Daddy's a trip now. If you ain't met him yet, he's crazy. Let's see here. Not worried about that. I've been very curious about the C-Max. About that C-Max. Yeah, it's so here's the thing, man. Here's the thing. The C-Max, like I said, is a vehicle. It's a Ford C-Max. That doesn't mean all the batteries are what we know of as C-Max batteries, a pouch style. They've done different styles of batteries. And I would say that this isn't like that, but it's also in a compression rack, which means it's a pouch of some kind. They have to compress it. And so I don't know. I don't know what the reliability rating on them is. I don't know what the cold temperature regular system is on them. How well they'll handle cold. I know the truck under lithium 10K will handle 32 degrees below zero with reduced performance, but it won't catch on fire either. The only one I know of that's ever failed catastrophically created a smoke show, but no fire. And that guy had been charging it for 15 and a half volts for over a year. And it finally smoked out. It didn't burn, it didn't catch on fire, it just smoked. And that's the only one that I'm aware of that we had catastrophic failure from. That says a lot about those batteries. The government pays Joe Daddy. Hell yeah. Car audio math on a live. Yeah, I do that. Hey, y'all, I keep it real, man. There ain't no bullshit coming in this corner. This is real, the real deal. I busted out. Let's see here. You guys are nuts. Uh, 5K. Let's see here. Get some Morale Elate Carbon Pros. What are them like 30 something $1,000? What year Escalade? How many SQ port? I told you. Did I fall behind or something? I said I think I had 90 square inches of port. I think that's what it is. You wasn't paying attention. Wake up. You want my hat? Put my hat on. It'll wake you up. uh, you've loaded your hat down too low, probably because of that hat rise, right? Have you tried the Angel battery management? Bluetooth voltmeter run through an app on your phone. I have no idea what you're talking about, but it sounds like a joke. So I'm just going to go with that. Okay. I'll have to dig into it. That sounds interesting. The only problem, though, with I was wrong. It was $3,200. I thought it was 32,000. I actually knew what you're talking about, which is funny. I just got mixed up on my numbers. Lifetime warranty. Battery management. Usually, battery management causes that problem where it only allows so much current to come out, and that's a problem when it comes to car audio. We have a tendency to pull, 600, 800, 1,000, 2,000 amps out of a battery. And most BMSs don't even understand those numbers as a problem. They think if something like that's happening, it obviously exploded and they need to stop right now. Uh, I'm reading ahead here. I was talking about the Marine square fuse for the stud. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, those are cool, man. El Fuego said, I draw the line of jumper cables on your nipples. Well, you wouldn't know if I had them on my nipples or not. They're way down here, you know. I might not even be wearing underwear or pants. Well, I am because I'm wearing overalls, so I guess I'm covered. Uh, That's truth, my friend. I'm going to lose it. Well, you never know, man. I mean, I already am cross-eyed. Thank you, though. I like to have fun, man. Look, my car has to put up with this stuff. I might as well do it too, right? Oh, what was I looking at on? Oh, yeah, that was a subwoofer box. I was trying to figure out what I was looking at over there, that page. I got so damn many tabs open right now, it ain't even funny. What's up, Dave Boykin? But no fuse from a 400 amp mech man to the factory electrical. I like to fuse everything. Welding wire fused on both ends. I don't fuse from the alternator. I don't fuse at the alternator going to the battery because the alternator turns off when the car turns off. And that run is usually really short and really well managed because it's around moving parts, mechanical parts, and hot parts. So I've got it very well managed. But I do fuse on the battery end of that connection. So from the alternator, it'll hit a fuse before it gets to the battery. It's just over on the battery end because that's the thing I have to worry about the most is that part shorting out. But I have no problem with that idea. It's good. It just seems kind of redundant because my run from the alternator to the battery is like 2 foot long. If I put a fuse on both ends of that, it'd be like a little section of wire, a fuse, a little section of wire, a fuse, and a little section of wire. By adding that much in there, I'm making it more likely to have to have a problem because I've got all these fuses and all these connections, It just kind of depends on your situation. If you're going to run it all the way to the back, yes, I do. I fuse up there in the engine bay, and then I fuse again before I get to my bank. But what in the actual hell is going on here? Well, I was having trouble staying awake, so this is my wake-up hat. No, it's wired down to zero ohms. Zero. that hard drive can't take 12 volts. I'm not sure what he said there. Stu is on an 06. Run it 10.9 then. I don't know. Motel Jesse James story. Motel Jesse James. Well, son. All right. It was a good one. I don't know if I should tell this one or not. This one might not be the best story. So I'm going to pull my wake up hat off. And I'll tell you guys a Motel Jesse James story. I don't know. Probably shouldn't, but I'm going to. So it's a little hotel in Branson. It used to be called Jesse James Confusion Town and Jesse James Confusion Junction and a whole bunch of different names. But there was always a hotel there. Well, all back in the late 70s, early 80s, all the other stuff got tore down, but there was still a hotel there. And a lot of the other stuff was still kind of parts of it were everywhere. Well, I moved to Branson in 92. Yeah. I just got on a bus with no money. I had enough money to buy the bus ticket, and that was literally it. I didn't have a dollar left over. Showed up in Branson, and I ended up getting a job at Kenny Rogers Roasters. I got a job at Applebee's, both at the same time. And I was homeless, though. So I found this hotel. I spent, the first night I spent at a golf course, a putt golf course, and with a ship, a pirate ship out there, and I slept in the pirate ship. Um, but after that, I found the hotel, and I was sleeping in one of the buildings that was closed down. It used to be like a souvenir store where you buy pictures and postcards and all this, take a picture in the jail and all that stuff. Well, anyway, that place had a big, huge room. I know what story I'm going to tell you, though. Big, huge room. It was empty, but there was a lawn chair. And I had that lawn chair set up in there, and that's where I slept at. So this one crazy dude one night, I'm going to save the really big one. I'm not going to tell you that story. I'll tell you this one. This crazy guy, he reminded me of Han Solo from Star Wars. That's what he looked like. Dead ringer for freaking Harrison Ford and Star Wars. And he was about as nutty as a fruitcake. Uh, One of them people that thought everybody was coming to get him all the time. Paranoid schizophrenic. Yeah. So I told him, he was cool though. I said, man, you can stay over here in this corner of my little building. I'll let you hang out with me. I showed him my hiding spot. And I come back from work that night, and I had been busting suds. I was soaking wet. I was tired, and I was ready to lay down. Get my shirt, my pants up, hang them up and dry them, and lay down in my little lawn chair. Get me a nap. Well, that son of a bitch had pushed this washing machine over there on the door and pushed it and some more crap up there to block the door. I went to open the door and it wouldn't open. I'm like beating on the door. What the hell? And dude's like, it's like, man, you go away. You're the blah blah blah. And I'm like, dude, open up. Oh yeah, I was pissed. You better open this damn door. And I was mad. And it didn't took me but a hot second, and I was getting madder and madder. And I got all red, and I kind of turned into the Incredible Redneck Hulk. And I just boom exploded with both hands. And I sent that washing machine flying across the room. And he was coming over there about that time. I literally hit him with the washing machine and knocked him against the wall. He fell back against the wall from getting impacted with this washing machine. I got all up in there finally, and I started hollering at him. I told him to get the hell out. And he left with an abundance of speed. He left in a hurry. But I was ready to rip his freaking head off. He got the hell out of there. He never came back. I don't know what went wrong with that dude's head, but you don't lock me. Man, I'm trying to get some rest. I want to get a nap. You know what I'm saying? I want to build a little fire in this little fireplace, make some heat, hang my clothes up, let my shit dry, get ready for work. I got 2 jobs to work every day. I'm working 7 days a week. I'm exhausted. I ain't got time for this. But anyway, that's one of the events that happened there. I ended up just so you know, the cleaning lady that cleaned the rooms, she would wait for me in the morning, and I'd come up there in the morning, and she'd leave one of the rooms dirty, and she'd let me use that room to go in there and take a shower. It's a very nice lady. She would also do my laundry for me every once in a while too, so I didn't have to hand wash it all the time. I ended up getting a room there and lived in that hotel for like a year in the room, a legit room. I'm hardcore, man. I ain't no joke. We had been through some crazy shit. Oh man, I went way back. Low rider. Junction fusible wire. So Dave said, Stu, yeah, junction alt. Yes, junction. Stu, God, you're hurting my brain. Okay. Stu, yes, alt to junction with fusible wire mounted onto bracket, then battery and starter. All right, he's talking to Stu. I'm gonna leave that one alone. Sound like someone's been watching D's nuts. I hadn't watched these nuts in a while, man. Better hope those cells are packed tight. Seen some swell and vibrate. Yeah, see, I'm talking about. I ain't about all that poofing up stuff. Uh, Dimensions, they're on there. It's on the website. That bank. I'm gonna look over here and see if I can find it real quick. Uh, I don't know. Oh, on the big ones, the Jag, they're 25 inches long by 7 3/4 by 5 3/8. They weigh 42 pounds. So it's a long, thin stick. That's roughly the height of a normal battery, 25 inches long, and or they're as wide as a normal battery, and they're 25 inches long, but they're only like 5.5 inches tall. So they're kind of short, squat, and long, about like a Snickers bar, except bigger. Dave, is it a side post battery? I don't know. Need a medical grade balancer with all my health problems. I know El Fuego. I need one too. Uh, let's see here. I'm looking down through here. And the wire, capacity, and fuse all the things. Gotcha. Uh, oh, that'll get it done, brother. Did you order them before they went out of stock? I can't remember if they were in stock when you ordered. Hopefully they was. Since we got mine hooked up, obviously because he wouldn't have even taken the order. I don't think if they were officially out of stock. Frank, yeah, slap that like button. Uh, Mello said kicker CS as well. Uh, and a pickup. Yeah, I like the 6.8s from Kicker. So yes, I also like the Alpine Type R's in that configuration in a truck. Those are really good sounding drivers. Uh, but that first sub box about man first sub box making 335. Now, Fuego, your English is broken today. At least that one. Oh yeah, we're talking about the Elite Carbon Pros. Yeah, slot ports versus round ports. Round ports are better, less surface area, more volume. But a lot of people like a slot port because it's easier to put into places. Round ports take up space. Slot ports are much easier to fit. And they're also easier to make because you don't have to make a pipe. Um, some people say they like the sound of a slot port better. I think if you get usually what's happening is the person experiences a round port that's being pushed beyond its limitations, and that's why they don't like the sound of them. But you know, I get it. Uh, Ooh, that is a good deal, El Fuego. I mean, that thing's got nearly that much just in speakers. That'd be a solid freaking deal. They were a good deal at full price, really. Joe Daddy said, just buy it. Extra fuses can't hurt anything. I concur. Well, except for the fact that you're adding extra failure points. So, and also extra resistance because fuses do have resistance. It can stack up, but I agree with you anyway, though, for the most part. Uh, if you run through the firewall through car, main fuse it, see where something cut into the wires and a long stretch of wire got extremely hot. Yep. If I'm running more than a couple of feet, it gets a fuse. That's truth. What was the first speaker sub you ever touched and seen? Speaker or sub? That's two different things. The first speaker I ever touched was probably out of a clock radio. And it probably just said made in Japan because everything was made in Japan back then. How did I wire it up? Probably with the wire that come out of the radio. Yeah, Corley, any source of power needs a fuse on it. Battery runs, fuse because there's a source on both ends. Absolutely. I'm referring to this statement here. I bought two Kicker 12 passive radiator boxes. Great sound. Going to buy two more. Yep. Excellent. Kicker is kind of the king of passive radiators. That's what got them started. Well, that's what got Stillwater Designs started. They created a passive radiator sub box that was flat and could fit behind the seat of a pickup truck, and they called it the Ass Kicker by Stillwater Designs. Well, later on, they changed it to Butt Kicker because, the world, and they ended up creating a company called Kicker, named after that driver, that box. So yeah, they've been around for a very long time. About two more. Joe Daddy. Whoa. Joe. Whoa. Okay, I lost something here. There we go. Joe Daddy. I'm betting whatever it was didn't have dual voice coils. Yeah, no shit. There was a time back in the day when speakers didn't have permanent magnets. They actually used a coil on both for both. They had a coil that stayed on all the time that got its power from the unit, and then they had another coil that moved the speaker. So they didn't even use magnets at all for speakers at one time. And I want to say that's where I think it has something to do with the name Electro Voice, that company. I think it has something to do with their name. I think that was actually, I could be wrong about that, but I think it was actually part of where that name come from. But yeah, they had fully electric speakers, no magnets. So technically that's dual voice coil. And that was a long time ago. Joe says a lot. Let's see. When can I get my amp working again? Got to take this shot. Hank, what's up, man? When I can get my amp working again, what did you do? Did you blow it up? You should hang those on. The first one you got to hang on the wall. I've stayed at some very low end motels in the days, lots of memories. So, and I have a lot more stories. Some of them are, one of the biggest stories was a bit of a racial riot that I got involved in because there was a bunch of Ku Klux members staying at the hotel, and I was clearly not down with their ideals, and things got real sideways, real fast. But yeah, that's a hell of a story. Joe Daddy. first subs. Okay. So first sub ever was, again, it was out of a bass guitar amp, and it was a PV Scorpion Plus 15-inch driver. And it wasn't really a subwoofer. It was a bass guitar amp speaker, but that's what we had. There was no subwoofer. They didn't exist. There was woofers and tweeters, and mid ranges didn't even really exist. We basically had woofers and tweeters. That was the only two speakers. That there wasn't anything else. At least not for the market, not for people to have. Maybe in movie theaters and shit, maybe they had some, but you know. No, Joe Daddy, my friend, you have just said something that's wrong, because last night you were 14 and now you're 13. Interesting observation. I don't forget things. Just thought I'd tell you. I have a sneaking suspicion you're full of crap. I don't, hold that against you though. I mean, I got lots of friends like that. Uh, let's see here. 13, 14, who's keeping count, I'm going to stir him up now. Let's see here. Joe Daddy, you have a car soon enough. I had a sub and stiff before I had a car. Okay. But I also worked for my neighbor, saved, got a car. Yeah. Yeah, I had a car way before I was able to drive it. Some YouTubers said on one of the videos, if you got a 400 amp alternator, you may need 2 lithium batteries. Could the little banger 5K be enough, or should I use 2? It depends on the amplifier you're trying to power. That's the important question. It's not about the alternator. The alternator just has the ability to produce that much current. You could hook that 400 amp alternator up to a freaking motorcycle 12-volt battery, and it would be just fine. It would charge it like normal. Wouldn't be any problem. The battery is dictated by how much reserve you need to be able to run your amplifier. So I need to know the amplifier size that you're powering, or amplifiers, to kind of give you an idea of what I would do for that setup. I remember my first car. Oh, and by the way, Joe Daddy said, you are amazing, Corley. I remember my first car, 86 Cutlass. Oh, son. Had a Pioneer shaft cassette with Bud Light caps on the knobs. Yeah, we all used to do that, man. That was dope. That was dope as hell. That would have been a Pioneer Super Tuner almost definitely. And if it had shafts, the tape went in sideways. It didn't go in ways, it went in sideways. I first started with a 4-inch sub I found at a thrift store. Hey man, I had a little beater that was what was that car? A Subaru Justy, maybe? Was that it? I think it was the Justy. And I had yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a little Subaru Justy. I had a home theater speaker, subwoofer from a home theater that I got it this has been about 20 years ago. Wow. I'm getting old, man. Shit happens. So everything's so far back now. Anyway, I had like some little cheap used piece of crap car amplifier on it, and had that sucker in the back floorboard in front of the back seat. It sounded ridiculously good. It wasn't stupid loud, but it really sounded good. I bought that thing at what was it, a Salvation Army, that's what it was, and for like maybe $10, I don't know, $5. Yeah, it was actually really cool. I was going through a rough time in my life, as we most always are, but um, and money was basically non-existent. So, but I had to have bass. I mean, come on, man. You got to do what you got to do. I'll be talking shit now. Cassette player was the new thing. When I was your age, if whatever age that is, 13, 14, I don't know. Um, when I was that age, I was rocking an 8-track player. I got an 8-track player for Christmas, brand new, stereo with an 8, and I could record. I had a record button on there, and I made tapes. I made mixtapes on an 8-track. That's how old I am. When I was a kid. So you don't know nothing about old. You ain't even close. 78 Ford LTD2. I had one. I had one. I had a 1978. Was it a 78 or a 75? I had a gold one. It was a dark, it was an ugly ass gold color. Uh, Kind of a bronzy gold thing. But I loved that car, man. What a killer car. Yeah, I have one. Uh, yeah, except it was just like a Thunderbird, except that it had the vertical headlights stacked on top. You had a square to square, and the Thunderbird had the side to side with the little flip downs. But other than that, and the taillights were different. The LTD2 had the taillights on the fins that went straight up, and the Thunderbird had the long, wide ones. Uh, Big old used dash, round. I could see it in my head, man. That was a great car. Loved that car, man. My first car was a 1978 Subaru DL wagon, 2-wheel drive. It was basically, if you looked at the Subaru Brat, it was that, except it actually had a cover. It was covered, so it had it was a wagon. That's where they made the Brat from, was the wagon. They just cut the back out of it and then Brat. But yeah, I had my first car. My second car was a 75 LTD, and then my third car was a 78 LTD 2 specifically. Really cool car. I miss them. Stu said I ordered the 5Ks as soon as they hit the Christmas sale. Didn't realize it till after I ordered. They weren't shipped until after Christmas. Sorry about that. I I don't know, man. Living life, 84. Frank said an 84 Accord LX hatchback. Did I ever have a Honda? No, I didn't have a Honda. I had two Subarus, though, now that I think about it. Actually, I had two. I had the one then, and I had the one later in life. Hmm. I've always been a fan of the Jeep Cherokees and the Grand Cherokees, but I mainly like the Cherokee. Especially my favorite was the Cherokee Chief, the two-door Cherokee. But I love the Cherokees, man. I'm stuck on those guys. Uh, yeah, there you go. Remember the LTD replaced many of those common ground radio setups, no doubt. Had a big old dash. I had at one time. I put an IB setup back there. I had two 10-inch. I was so that was later on. So I think I actually had some random uh, those flea market, you know, like Thump or something like that. I had a couple of those in my back dash. I put plywood. I got in a car. I was in a car audio by then, and but I was like in my late teens ish. So that'd have been like 88, 89. Anyway, I put plywood back there on both sides and sandwiched it down and bolted it and glued it. And then I put in my back dash. Yeah, that was in my Ford LTE too. Uh, anyway, and then I mounted the subs there, free air into the trunk. Yeah. So yeah, I was getting down back then. 89. Daddy. I'm listening to this conversation that Joe Daddy is having with everybody. He's funny. uh, let's see here. I said speaker. So, yep. Yeah, you got to be, because see, when you say speaker or sub, it's like for me, it's two completely different like decades between those two. I like the speaker a decade away from the sub. So that's a legit question. Oh, Fuego's out. Night Fuego. Or Night Stew. Stew is out of the park. 1850s. I never heard of passive radiator system. Uh, Sounds a lot like a ported system as long as the port isn't chuffing. Basically, it's the same concept. You're creating a speaker with no magnet, and it moves like a port, the same way a port does. You tune it by adding weight to that passive radiator. One of the things it does is it gives you the ability to put essentially a port in a very thin, small enclosure. So it was kind of a thing I thought. I don't know that anybody had done it before Kicker did. I'm sure someone probably did, maybe, but Kicker was definitely the first one to use it in car audio. Uh, Steam powered speakers. Look here, man. We didn't even have steam. What the hell was that? You burn cow poop and, you know, stuff like that. You don't even have steam. Jeez. Steam come along way later, man. Ran off. I like that one, Stu. Ran off Egyptian sundials. No electricity. Like Amish subs. You guys are a hoot. I finally used sun. You guys are killing me, man. I love it. Oh, oh, I get it. Yeah. Yeah, it's your fat fingers, man. I get off school. Man, I never liked school. I miss a whole lot of things about being young. School is not one of the things that I miss. I skipped school most of the time. I went to school like maybe one day a week, and usually that wasn't all day. Uh, I was a professional school skipper. I skipped school so much that the homeroom class, they didn't ever call me in the homeroom. They didn't call me on the roll when they called roll. So nobody ever called my mom or anybody to tell them I wasn't there because they never called me on roll. They didn't even know I was in the class. That's the secret, man. You don't go the first day. You skip. That way, you know, later on, you're not on roll call. They don't notice that there's an extra person there that didn't answer roll call, right? So you just show up and they're like, oh, yeah. but they never call your name. You just don't say nothing, and nobody ever catches on. I pulled that shit off for multiple years. I got, oh Lord, uh, what it do, son? I think my old truck has a ground problem. I guarantee you, your old truck has a ground problem, and it's probably between the battery and the chassis. I almost guarantee you that there's no extra ground wire going from the battery to your body. It's just going from the battery to the block. That's because whenever people replace those old truck power cables, they never hook up that extra little ground that runs over to the body. They just hangs or it ain't there. They don't need it to start the truck, and they don't care about anything else working. That's a guarantee that you have a ground problem. Just letting you know that that's a common thing. And you know what's funny is if you get that ground sorted, your lights will get brighter, your radio will work better, everything will improve. Oh yeah, Baghdad batteries. Yeah. Yep, they did. They used them in car audio back then. That was back before the 1800s. You're giving them too much credit. They were way on back. You know, way on back. The 1800s was the cowboy days. Um, Either you know your history on audio equipment or we are close to the same age. I got into car audio in 1990, worked all summer to buy a Punch 45 and an MTX Blue Thunder 12. Punch 45s, those are really two solid pieces of equipment. I can see why you worked all summer. That's a hellified good amplifier. They still really work pretty good in today's climate. And MTX made some monster subs back in the day. They were pretty much the subwoofer go-to if you were, if you wanted real subs. I mean, you could go with the Rockford and all those guys. They had subs too, but if you wanted something that was going to crush, it was MTX. They're really the first one to do that kind of crazy shit. 05 Silverado extra cab. Well, that's newer than I was thinking. I'm thinking old. I'm thinking 70s, 80s, 90s maybe. But still, yeah, check your ground from the battery to the body. And check the ground strap running from the engine to the body. Those are two that are almost always broken or gone. Stu said I got into about 94. Had a friend that got a pair of Pioneer IMPP 10s. I don't know that driver. In his Ranger. Thought it was the coolest thing ever. Hell yeah, man. Yeah, I don't know those drivers. I remember, who was it that came out with they had the pods, right, that you can mount in your back dash of your car. And there was one company that I think maybe, I can't remember, but they were square. I mean, they were square. They had a square little woofer thing in there and a square little mid and a little square tweeter. And they sounded fine. It wasn't anything exceptional about the sound, but the fact that they were square was kind of cool. I don't know what they looked like on the backside, but the front was a square. And I can't remember who made those, but yeah. Let me see. Like me seeing those Kenwood 710s. Let's see here. Stu's asking about your Silverado, man. He was talking about a bad ground, Stu. 5.5 def bonds for subs. Okay, hold on. It's going to be some reading here. 5.5K def bonds for subs, and so you got a 5.5K def bonds for your subs. All right, and a 900.2 for mid bass, about 1,000 watts for other doors and tweeters. Thinking maybe you were the one that asked about the battery earlier, and I said I didn't know. All right, that's going to be 7,000 watts. We'll call it. You're going to need. You're probably only actually going to need probably 4,000 watts or so of that to get the job done. Musical play and to support 4,000. So 400. We'll say 400 to 500 amps um, is probably an accurate range, which means you're going to need. The Trunk Thunder Lithium 5K would do that job quite easily. Two of the Big Jeff lithium batteries will do that job. If you go to Big Jeff, use discount code CAE and knocks a little more off the price. Um, Actually, you can get a 4-pack for a pretty good deal, so you might look into that too. I don't know if you need that much power, but that'd carry you up to about 12,000 watts. 4-pack would, and they're not terribly expensive. They're like 300 and something bucks. I think the discount for buying the 4 is pretty good though, so it's not a bad buy. But yeah, like I said, use discount code CAE and it'll knock some of that off. Anyway, you got that. You got the 5K from Trunk Thunder Lithium, and then if you wanted to go a different route, hang on a minute. You could go. Let me see what the price is on these. If it's worth it. Titanate. No. There's one of these that's pretty decent. That one. That one? GP 34. Oh man, that's cool. Sorry, I got distracted. It happens. Yeah, that wouldn't work. No, they have something, but I can't remember where it is. Maybe it's down here. It says 300. Is that the one I was looking at? So that one's 700 bucks. Okay, so let me show you. Hang on. So this guy is about the equivalent of the Trunk Thunder Lithium 5K, but it's about $200 more, roughly. But it handles about the same amount of power. But this would be a good choice. So just take note of what I'm pointing at up here and look that up. Now I want to look over here on Trunk Thunder Lithium if they're in stock. If they're in stock, they're not. They're not in stock right now. But this is the same basic battery as that, and it's quite a bit cheaper if you can catch them in stock. And it'll actually support quite a bit of power. So yeah, with a high output alternator, you said you had a 400 amp alternator, so you could easily support 10,000 watts with that battery right there. But you got to catch them in stock, or you got to pre-order and wait for an indeterminate amount of time. It could be a week, it could be 2 months. So it's up to you. But you get a good deal, you're getting an extremely good battery, and you're getting awesome customer service. So, yeah. Um, that's my basic recommendations in that department. Why does that always move? My first bucket was a 71 Cutlass Supreme. Never had a Cutlass, man. I mostly ended up with Fords. That was my. I was on a run of Fords throughout my teenage years. Old Ford cars. I did have a '66 Cadillac for a while, convertible. I confirmed that advice. Uh, I never had trucks when I was younger. I had in my mid 20s. I got my grandpa's old Chevy truck. It was a 2 door, long wheelbase, of course, because old man truck, right? Uh, like a 75, I think it was, square body. It's a cool old truck. I had to do a lot of work to it to get it running though, and it did not even have a radio. I gave up on trying to get it. I had a CB in there though. Thump. Yep, yep. That's what it was. It was thumps. My heart. My second was a '91 Ranger regular cab. Was that the one that had eight spark plugs? There's one that I had one with 8 spark plugs. I can't remember the year model. I think it was a lot newer than that though. It was like maybe a '98 or something like that. I can't remember. It was cool though. It was purple. It has a purple truck. Standard shift, 4 cylinder with 8 spark plugs. According to my first subs were some Thump P Series 15s. Oh yeah. It didn't take long for me to graduate to some Rockford Series. My favorite old school sub was definitely the JL W3s, or the threes. Was it JL? The something three 15s. I can't remember the nomenclature. Was it W3? I think it was. Anyway, I had this lady had ran a car off into a creek, submerged. The whole damn car was underwater. They pulled it out, and I was working with my stepdad's friend, helping him work the wreck. But she was there, and we had pulling the trunk and getting some stuff out of the trunk, and I saw a sub box in there, the subs, and I was like, "Hey, what are you gonna do with them subs?" She looked at them, and they were soaking. There was water coming out of the box. It was, so you can have them. I said, "Bet." I took them, and they had been in there for like 3 or 4 days underwater. I let them dry out. I ran those subs for like 8 years. And whenever I got rid of them, one of them wasn't working because a tinsel lead broke off from the back of the cone. I remember running them with a Memphis 1000D. That was what I was powering them both with. A single, one of the chrome colored uh, Memphis amps, the 1000D, man. And I had that set up in several vehicles. It was really nice. Sub sounded amazing. Started with something. Oh, Dubby's off to work, man. Peace out, Dubby. Yep, there's Troy. Yeah, I told him about the 17-volt alternator and the Slapz surviving the trip. I figured out something, Troy. I didn't mention it. I mentioned it. If you're still on, I'm not sure if you're still here or not, because I'm behind on the chat. But I figured out something that may have been a thing. Well, the wire went through that crookedy wire went through there, and that thing. I think maybe what might have happened is the wire might have got broken in there, and then they went up to 17 volts. And then when you went to banging stuff around under the hood, you bumped it just right, and the wire reconnected, and it started sensing again, and it dropped down to 14. I got a feeling that's possibly what happened. Troy, yep. Troy said I had a Punch 200 with Eminem, Godfather. He's talking about his old school stuff. Godfather 12 speakers in 95. All right, Shadow Man. Peace out, brother. I'm sure you're gone by now. Oh, Corn Nut and his extensive amplifier collection. I still have one of the old Punch 100s, my Punch 200, Punch 40, and a Punch 45. Long gone, but don't remember what I did with them. I never could afford Rockford, man. And I always deviated away from them for some reason. I had no problem with them. I think they're great, but I never could afford them. So I never ran them. Let's see here. What's up, Mr. Ray? Mr. Ray's in the house, guys. Pioneer. That sounds right. I was thinking it might be Pioneer. TS X22. Vintage, yeah, no kid. They were cool, man. They were cool drivers. Like I said, they sounded fine. I don't remember them sounding awesome, but they were square, and that was kind of cool. 73 Nova, he says. Hell yeah. Yeah, Rockford has some wicked ass amplifiers back in the day, man. Yes, it was the one with 8 plugs. Yeah, you couldn't get to that back plug. That one back spark plug up there by the firewall, that shit was not coming out of there at all. I was right, though. It was the 8 spark plugs. Hell yeah, I'm glad to know it. I got that right. And W said he's off to work. Let's see. I'm about to catch up. Holy shit. That could have happened because once I started unhooking everything, I went back to 14.4. That's what I was saying. Troy says I ran Rockford Fosgate a lot in 2018. I had 2 Impalas. No, not you. One had the T1500, the other had the T1000. Hell yeah. Well, I finally caught up with the chat, man. Whoa, that was a long list. Speaking of car audio, hang on a second. I'm going to show you guys a new song. It's like, oh no, not a song. Yeah. We're going to do it. It's this new song night. We're going to do a new song. Hang on a second. Get it ready. Only some of you guys are gonna get the references in here. But it's gonna be a white screen, so I'm just gonna put it over here, and we'll do this, and then we'll do this. So we're not just looking at a white screen. All right. Y'all check this track out. This is one of my new ones.
My credit card's maxed out. Man, I sure hope this bill works. Sketching out boxes, designing, refining, figuring the budget, investment outlining. QTS and QTC, mass and port velocity, cabin game geometry, Quarter wave philosophy, working a SketchUp all night long. Know the cost of getting it wrong. Design all night, then work all day. Maybe soon I'll hear it play. Let it breathe, let it wave. All that work for the sound that we crave. From the plans to the build to the miles of wire. All lights green on the amplifier. Let the low bass winds blow. Break concrete at the weekend show. People love to ride when they climb inside, but they don't know the rest of the bass head life. Should I run 412s or 415s? Maybe 218s is what I need. Do a fourth or a sixth, or just go part. Man, the roof gon' flex, need support. How the air gon' move, need direction. Doors gon' flex, need restoration. 30,000 watts, need more power storage. Where am I gon' put it? Under the floor. Let it breathe, let it wave. All that work for the sound that we crave. From the plans to the build to the miles of wire. All lights green on the amplifier. Let the low bass winds blow. Break concrete at the weekend show. People love to ride when they climb inside, but they don't know the rest of the bass head life. Walls too thin, need more bracing. Subwoofers need so much more space. Got the port tuned up now, airflow's good. Gotta do a bunch of wiring under the hood. Play all summer and work all winter. Running more power wires in December. Out in the driveway digging snow so I can crawl underneath, put them where they go. Let it breathe, let it wave. All that work for the sound that we crave. From the plans to the build to the miles of wire. All lights green on the amplifier. Let the low bass winds blow. Break concrete at the weekend show. People love to ride when they climb the side, but they don't know the rest of the bass head life. Drop that bass. Drop that bass. Got floor jacks ready and I call my friends. Gonna need help just to get the box in. Shit don't fit, I gotta trim the corners. Man, I sure wish it was warmer. Finally spring, season starts real soon. Man, I still have so much to do, but I get it done and make the space. When the first show hits, I'll drop that bass. Drop that bass. Let it breathe, let it wave. All that work for the sound that we crave. From the plans to the build to the miles of wire. All lights green on the amplifiers. Let the low bass winds blow. Break concrete at the weekend show. People love to ride when they climb inside, but they don't know the rest of the bass head life. Drop that bass. Drop that bass.
What did y'all think about that one? That just went up on my new album, so heads up on that. The name of the album is Bass Machine Bass Demo 5 in the 30s. Every track there is at 31 hertz or higher. 31 hertz up to 33 hertz, so it's like the sweet spot. I have a lot of tracks that my nose is starting to run now. I have a lot of tracks that are in the mid 20s and around that area. So I've been working on basing out some new stuff in the low 30s for the average bass head, you know. But yeah. So you know the pain, right? Trimming the corners. Oh yeah, my friend. Cut the door panels so the doors wouldn't close. That's a bass head. The bass head, screw the box. Just trim the vehicle around the box. In fact, it's an S10. I can see exactly where he cut them. The door, the arms with the armrest on the doors hang out quite a bit toward the back. So we had to cut the armrest out to get the door shut. Am I right or wrong? I bet I'm right. I bet he had to cut the armrest out. What's up, Plastime? So it's funny that you play a song about designing a system as I am working on my sub box and test fitting it right now. Yeah, it's real, man. And yeah, it's a straight up bass head thought process because I wrote the damn song. I mean, that's how that works. I try to dumb down as much as I can, but include all the stuff. Yep. Told you. It's like it's all in my head, dude. I don't know how that happens, but it's all still in my head. I certain vehicles just stand out. I know exactly what the restraint's going to be. When you go to putting something in there, I already know in my head what's going to cause the problem. And a buddy of mine put 215s. He did this shit. I'm going to tell you, he put 215s in an S10 single cab behind the seats. And we had to build custom door panels to get around that box. There was no room in that thing. I mean, the seats are pulled forward a huge amount. There was no room in that thing at all. But we got them in there. Had a port firing in the center there coming up to his custom console. He had custom seats. It was a really nice truck. It was a Slam mini truck with the ground effects, the candy paint. The whole freaking thing was slick as shit. He wanted 215s behind the seat of that truck. We had to mount them way down at the bottom to have enough room for the magnets in the box. And the box just wasn't going to work until we cut those door panels. We actually took the door panels off and made custom ones. But they wouldn't have worked with the factory ones. The doors would have liked this much closing. It was pretty bad. And hell yeah, man. They got to go. Thanks, Dave. I do a lot of things. So if you get on your favorite streaming service and look up Car Audio Enthusiast with an S at the end, all one word, you'll find a whole lot of stuff that's come out of this camp. So I'm a bit of a creative soul. So that's what I do whenever it's crappy outside or whether I'm not feeling like doing anything outside. I work on music. 4 bass heads. It's not rebased music. It's original music for bass heads. That's the best way to put it. All kinds. Has anybody got any more questions tonight? I did almost 5.5 hours Friday. So it's been a short night. But has anybody got any more questions? Let me know. Oh, before I go, I'll show you guys my new taco video. Check this out. This is kind of cute.
Hey, guess what? Taco loves tacos, yeah, that's his scene. Crunching all day like a taco machine. Hard shell, soft shell, spicy, supreme. Always eating tacos, favorite cuisine. Taco, 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 taco,
Good times. What's up, Eddie? Go Taco Go. uh, Eddie said, makes me remember my B22. That's a Ranger, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Dropped to the floor with Honda Prelude seats. Got steering wheel. I'm assuming you said maybe gold steering wheel. I don't know. Chrome wheels from the 4x4 rolling on 40s. Oh, yeah, man. The Volvo radios made by Alpine. Um, you guys are a hoot, man. I'm trying to remember that. I didn't mess around with the European stuff when I was younger, and I haven't got into much being old, so I can't really speak on them. Oh yeah, Mazda, yeah. It's a Ford Ranger, yeah. That's what I said. You heard me. You say black, I say dark gray. Uh, oh, a GT steering wheel. I got you. Um, yeah, that's tight, man. Rangers look good sitting, and I know it's a Mazda. Yeah. They look good sitting low, man. I still think that the S10s look better though. I like them both. Don't get me wrong. Uh, Rangers went through some interesting years. They did some weird stuff. I like the little Ford Bronco. Remember the little Bronco 2? I thought those were pretty cool. And of course, everybody was flipping them over, but I mean, stupid people do stupid stuff. They couldn't ride three wheelers either. I don't know why, but apparently, if it doesn't have four wheels, a motherfucker can't stay on it. You know what I'm saying? Uh, Stu said several things. Said I stopped working on Euro vehicles about 4 years ago myself. I don't mess around, man, because they do weird stuff. Like weird stuff. Like for those of y'all that don't know, a lot of the European cars have air powered windshield wipers and air powered door locks. Air, yeah, they got freaking air tubes running through there to put the doors locks up and down. They just like using air. I don't know. Uh, that's the weird shit in European cars, man. I feel like I've been through enough years as a shop to make that decision. I'm with you, brother. Dave's heading out. He said, "You guys have a good night." Hey, man, I'm doing the best I can. That's it. We got a great community, and we show love and respect to everybody in this community, and that's something that you don't see a whole lot of in car audio. And it's unfortunately the car audio world is a kind of a drama mess, and so, yep, exactly, brother. They use that stupid air powered everything. I don't know what's wrong with these people. We've been building regular electric power door locks for since like the 19 late 50s. I'm pretty sure we had them in the late 50s. Uh, I don't know. I go back. They had. You guys know when the first car stereo guys were invented. So on the Model T Ford, it didn't come with a radio, but there was an aftermarket radio available for them, and it mounted on the steering wheel column. You know, down here on the bottom, you had a little bracket. It would mount down there, and you had to install batteries for the thing. So you had like batteries, yeah. And this is some crazy shit, but you guys are welcome to research this. I'm gonna blow your freaking mind with this. But they would put them in under the floor of the car, multiple batteries, and the radio was quite large. It had to be mounted down there too. and then they had an aerial antenna that mounted on it that looked exactly like you. If you can imagine a radio station broadcast tower miniaturized a little bit and stuck on a car, that's what it looked like. And they had bullhorn speakers mounted out here on the side steps. It was a straight up stunt wall, man. Everywhere they went, everybody in town heard the radio. And it was, I don't remember the price, but I do remember that the price of the stereo, if you want to call it a stereo, the radio, was about the same price as they'd pay for the whole car to start with. And a lot of people did this. There were guys riding around banging in the neighborhood, disturbing the peace, tons of them with Model Ts. And that was really the first car radio. And that was it was like in 1920 or something like that. I want to say 20 or 21. We just celebrated the 100th anniversary for the car audio guy. How about that shit? But yeah, that really happened, man. So we're going to bust a camp, and I am going to get the duck out of here. You guys have a great night. Peace and love, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Out here banging up and down the street, slamming it to the ground. Big subwoofers are getting loud. You can feel the booming sound. Getting ready to go. Got it shined up for the show. Power's charging, amps are amping, gonna let the woofers blow. Another one bites the dust. Another one bites the dust. And another one goes, and another one goes, and another one bites the dust. We got more at home. Another one bites the dust. Fires are glowing and the amps smoking. Subs are cherry red. Let me keep jamming, gotta keep the bass slamming. Gonna go hard till they're dead. Full power, gotta let it go. 20 hertz in the floating air. Sparks are flying, voice coils are frying, and the smoke is in the air. Another one bites the dust. Another one bites the dust. And another one goes, and another one goes, and another one bites the dust. Hey, we got more at home. Another one bites the dust. Got it. Got it. Boom. Guess what? Taco loves tacos, yeah, that's his scene. Crunching all day like a taco machine. Hard shell, soft shell, spicy,